Two men journey to the bars and restaurants of Scandinavia to find amazing beers, always with the same question.
Hey, what's on tap?
It's time to find out.
Guten Tag, and welcome to What's on Tap podcast.
Oh, Prost.
Prost. I am your host, Stefan.
I'm your host, Martin.
And I recently went to Germany for a couple of days just to kind of get away from Sweden and see something different. It was quite nice and relaxing. I don't know if you've ever taken a really long ferry trip, but it's a very featureless existence. Basically on a boat for, like in this particular case, it was a ferry from Malmö to Lubeck, and it was about 9 hours.
Yep.
Originally didn't have a cabin. Discovered that you could get a cabin for about 500 SEK. And I was like, we need to get a cabin. That's cool. Yeah. And just kind of hung out, and it's really kind of nice when you don't have any kind of phone or anything, right, and you're just kind of like forced to relax. It was super enjoyable. But you could tell the people that had done the ferry crossing several times, because they really came like packed out with like food and snacks and picnics, and stuff like that. But yeah, so I was over, I went to Lubeck, and Sudden Death Brewing is there. And we've enjoyed many of their beers in the past. And I thought, well, I've got to go there. It's actually really, really nice spot and very trendy kind of. It only opened like maybe a year and a half ago or something, a year ago. And it's done quite well. Lubeck is a really small town. You can see everything in about an afternoon. If you pace yourself, maybe you can expand it over a morning and an afternoon, which is what we did. And then we discovered that, need to do something else. So the Hamburg is only a 45-minute train ride away. So we went down to Hamburg, and there is a ton of bottle shops and breweries, right, and things to try. So when I was there, I tried, went to Sudden Death, and of course I brought something back from there. And then I went to this other place called Ratsherrn, Ratsherrn.
That's
yeah, I guess so. And they have their own little brewery, and they make okay-ish beers, kind of middle of the road, easy to please the the masses kind of beers, but not really my favorites. But they've got a really nice little restaurant in the back you can try as well. So I got one of their beers, and this is the beer I brought is an annual release, so I thought it'd be fun to try. And it's a Senatsbock.
Book of the Senate.
Yes. And then, so it's like, have you been to Hamburg before?
Yes, but only as a child.
Oh, you should do it's a perfect weekend trip.
Yeah.
You can take 4 days, you go over on the boat for one day, or maybe you do it overnight, and then you get there, you spend a couple of days, take the overnight back, and it's quite easy to get around. It's really a lovely, just kind of relaxing experience. Highly recommend it.
It's a good tip.
Yeah.
So are we going to start with the Sudden Death beer?
I think so.
And it is a double dry hopped double IPA, but I can't find the name anywhere.
It's called
Weston?
Oh, what is it called? Shitter Was Full. Double dry hopped.
What?
Shitter Was Full.
Shitter Was Full.
Right. And so on the beer label, it's Randy Quaid from Christmas Vacation playing Uncle Eddie. And they had this on tap in the brewery, and I quite enjoyed it. So I thought this will be fun to bring a can. And plus, anytime you have a Christmas Vacation reference, and we can say shitter on the podcast, it's just a win-win.
It's a win-win.
It is really a win-win.
So it looks pretty good. It's very hazy and yellow.
Yeah, it smells really tropical.
It does.
A lot of fruity notes up front. So
cheers.
Prost. Yeah, it's really good. It's a very nice middle of the road, like solid. I wouldn't say middle of the road, but say kind of what you would expect from
from Sudden Death and
Sudden Death.
their hazies.
Yeah.
Yep, I agree. It's a solid beer. How strong is it?
It's 7.9%.
Yeah.
I really like the aftertaste. I'm getting a lot of like tropical notes and nectarines and mango and kind of things like that. It's really pleasant. 7.9. This is super easy to drink. I could have a lot of this.
And it says that it's co-brewed with Westum Hjemmebryggeri. So some home brewer collabed with this.
And I think they've done this for a couple of years in a row now. I don't think this is a regular release. I think they just do it around Christmas time.
Yeah. Shitter was full. I'm not sure I've seen that movie.
If you've never seen Christmas Vacation, one of the best Christmas movies of all time, you really need to see this movie. I cannot recommend it enough. Despite the person that Chevy Chase has become, and despite the person that Randy Quaid has become, it is still a phenomenal movie with so many crazy actors before they were stars that like you're like, oh my god, it's Julia Louis-Dreyfus as the neighbor.
Yeah.
So it's just a lot of fun, and there's
it's National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
Yes, it is.
I might have seen it.
Okay. If you haven't seen it in a while, it is well worth a revisit, a rewatch, because it's so much fun. But you've been to Germany a few times, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. There was one year when I went to Berlin more or less every month for work.
Wow. I wish I had a job that I had to go to Berlin more or less every month for work, because that's an amazing city, and I can only say I've only been once, and I've always wanted to go back and just have not had a chance.
To be fair, that work project was madness.
I'm sure.
But Berlin was really nice.
I bet.
But been around to a few places. Most of those trips were when I was a kid.
Yeah. Well, it's really funny. You don't hear a lot. When the Swedes talk about going on vacation, Germany seems to be like this blank spot that just immediately go over to go somewhere else.
And that is how we did it, my family and I, because we were always going down to the French Riviera, but we went there by car, and that often meant one stop somewhere in Germany.
You kind of have to. It's a big country and it takes a long time. And you want to stop, I guess, before you get to the Alps, maybe, and then cross over the Alps fresh the next day.
Yeah, but that's just a long tunnel.
Oh, okay, I don't know.
Yeah, so
you didn't have to like find the winter pass to make sure you could get through safely.
No, not really. But then, yeah, I've been to some various trips, but never really only for beer. I mean, those work trips, I could often extend them to a weekend and do Berlin beer scene.
Yeah.
But I do think Germany is a great country. They suffer from beer traditionalism.
I had some amazing... You know what's so funny was we walked around and we tried to find some like traditional lagers and couldn't really find anything in like restaurants that wasn't like a mass-produced kind of lager. But then we went to the little grocery store in the train station and picked up just 4 random lagers. All of them were killer. Yeah. They were just like, wow, this is amazing. I wish we would have had more of these to drink. They were so good.
Right. Going back to the beer a little bit, what really is a good point for it is that I'm almost done. I've just been sipping and sipping and sipping because it really, it pulls you in. You want to keep sipping this one.
I really enjoyed this on tap, and I'm also really enjoying it now, once again, in the can. So for me, I'm going to give this a 4.25.
Me too. Weaker side. I started at a 4, but looking at the glass, just going... I think I need to...
reevaluate your
decision.
All right. Okay, and then the other beer we have is Senatsbock. It is a higher ABV beer, 7.5. I was wrong. It's a lower ABV beer. This was, what, 7.6? 9. Yeah, so I thought it was... 9! I thought it was like around 11, but... and this just... dark lager, I guess, of some sort.
Yeah, it looks like a dark lager. It's on the darker side.
Yeah, it's definitely on the darker side. You'd almost think it was a like a light stout or just from the look of it, because it's pretty dark.
Yeah.
I mean,
smells kind of sweet, kind of like hard bread.
Yeah.
Swedish knäckebröd.
Kind of reminds me of almost like a barley wine in the smell a little bit.
Yeah, almost.
But yeah, it's got that rye bread, like a Danish rye bread kind of smell to it, which I think smells great. All right,
Prost.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Get notes of like toffee and licorice. It's fairly thin, which would kind of what a bock style is. So I wouldn't expect it to be a thick
pastry style.
Yeah.
Yeah, that Danish rye bread, Swedish knäckebröd type of feeling is definitely there in the aftertaste.
It's a little bitter in the finish, I think.
Overall, I think that elevates it.
Yeah, I think it needs to breathe a little bit. It might be a little on the cool side. So what's been your favorite place to visit in Germany? Oh, wait, before you... Are there any, like, Donner Party stories about people crossing through the Alps?
What?
So in the U.S., back in the early days of Western expansion, there's a famous story called the Donner Party. And what happened was they started out late in the season to cross through the Rockies, and they got stranded in the middle of nowhere, and then they got lost, and then they got stranded in the snow. And then it became a very tough winter where they resorted to cannibalism towards the end of the winter. So are there any Alps stories of?
Not that I know of. I
maybe have to go back like further in time.
Yeah, I gotta be honest. I don't know when that huge tunnel was opened up, but I've never experienced anything else. The only strange thing there is it's the longest tunnel I've ever experienced in my life. So,
but wait, at what point did you go through this tunnel last? Was it like when you were 10, or was it like
maybe 18?
Okay, so it's still
So
it's not one of those things where when I was 6, I just thought this tunnel went forever, and really it was like not that long.
no, but it is a long tunnel. Even as a young adult, you are in that tunnel for so long that you start to acclimatize yourself to it.
like this is our life now.
This is our life now.
Yeah, we'll never see the sun again.
Exactly.
There's no weather. There's only tunnel.
Exactly, and hope there isn't a fire in a car.
Yeah,
because it's just full of cars.
Oh wow.
But I think I have to say that my favorite place is Berlin, because I kind of made it my own by going to so many bars, upwards to 60 bars.
I mean, that's a lot.
During many trips, and Protocol in the east, east of Germany, near the station Ostkreuz, Eastern Cross, is one of the best bars ever, because of service and friendliness and quality.
I need to go back. I'm so looking forward to going there again. I have to schedule that for a future trip. I've been to Munich. I quite like that. I've hated Frankfurt. I've been there a couple times, and it's just a disgusting, horrible city. I highly do not recommend anyone ever go to Frankfurt. But most of the trade shows are hosted there. So if you're in Europe and you're going to a trade show, you're probably going to Frankfurt, and you're going to have a miserable time. But Hamburg, I've been there maybe 4 times. And it's just a delight every time. It's so easy to get around, and it's just a beautiful city. So I highly recommend going there as well. All right, so what do you give Senatsbock from Ratsherrn?
I mean, bock beers need to struggle to impress me.
Yeah.
Like a 3.5 or maybe a 3.75, but it's probably a 3.5.
I was thinking a 3.5 as well.
I'd much rather reach for the glass of IPA.
I agree with you 100%. I think the IPA was a real win. It was a real find. And again, no big surprise from Sudden Death. They do great stuff. And their pizzas were really good too. So we had a pizza while we were there, and it was excellent. Very full after several beers and pizzas.
Nice.
All right. Well, I guess anything else you want to share about Germany? Any have any?
They have a troubled past.
they've had some interesting moments in the past 200 years.
Exactly. I'm talking about the Goth invasion.
No one was really prepared for the Goth invasion. No. Goths look so passive, exactly. But you poke them a little bit, you provoke them, and they just come at you with a lot of Rammstein, exactly. And you're like, I was not prepared for that.
No. Right, synth music, Kraftwerk,
exactly.
But that's not the troubled past. That's good stuff, man.
All right. Well, you can find us online at What's on Tap Podcast, Facebook, Instagram, Spotify, YouTube, and wherever you find our podcast, you'll find other podcasts as well.
So you'll find our podcast where you find our podcast.
Exactly.
Tautology Club.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's our find our podcast there.
Yeah.
All right. So until next time,
keep drinking, you dum-dums.